Hi aspirants, welcome to SRV's this week's newspaper analysis. We will try and cover the important articles from newspapers such as Indian Express, Hindu, or if needed from the Mint, those important articles which are needed for UPSC in terms of prelims and mains. Let's get into our today's first article. This first article talks about certain schemes and how successful they have become. This article will be really useful in mains. It's really going to be useful in mains, particularly when you have to go for GS2 and essay. And even for GS3 in terms of environment and economy, both places it can be used. Okay, we'll get into the article. This article talks about the Swachh Bharat mission. It says this mission is a huge success. It says some of the important details, look at here. 11 crore individual household latrines have been built under this SBM scheme. And see one more thing, the National Family Health Survey data, it shows Indian households with no toilet have reduced from 55% to only 39% between 2005 and 2015 in this period of 10 years. And the decline is much sharper during 2019-21 survey. And this is because of the subsidized building of toilets by the Indian government. So the Indian government provides subsidies to build toilets. And the scheme was started in 2014, a prelims question. And the other important result of this Swachh Bharat mission is it has reduced infant and child mortality rates. Why? Because it has increased sanitation. When sanitation improves, things like diarrhea or other diseases, waterborne diseases are reducing, and because of this infant mortality rate and child mortality rate have gone down. But something opposite is what has not decreased. What has not decreased is stunting and wasting. This has not seen a huge difference because of any of these schemes. And stunting and wasting is related to things like diarrhea, cholera, typhoid attacks. When such diseases are there, it could result in stunting and wasting, but stunting and wasting has not been achieved great ranks as far as India is considered now. But one more thing, another scheme which has seen a huge success is Jal Jeevan Mission. Because of this Jal Jeevan Mission as well, clean water is being supplied, which has reduced all this infant mortality rate, everything. And they talk about one more scheme, that is soil health card scheme. They say this scheme is not a very big success compared to like Swachh Bharat mission or Jal Jeevan mission. This soil health card scheme is not a huge success. We know about the soil health card scheme, just a revision here. This scheme tries to measure the soil, research on a particular small area of soil, a particular farmer's soil, and it will find out what fertilizer is needed, how much fertilizer has to be applied, pesticides, and all these details, what are the nutrients present, not present in the soil, and they will give it as a card to the farmer. And he can use it for 3 years. And based on that, he can apply fertilizers or pesticides, what type of crop is best, everything. And this is particularly made to reduce excess use or unwise use of fertilizer or pesticides, which at last ends up in contamination of the groundwater. Okay, but this scheme has not been seen as a great success, which means we have to work more on it. Now we'll see another article, an important article, that is, this news has been there for nearly 3 to 4 years, continuously it is there, that is, the number of cyclones in Arabian Sea is increasing comparatively. We always know that the number of cyclones in the Bay of Bengal are more than the number of cyclones in the Arabian Sea, we know. And the reason for that is Bay of Bengal surface water temperature is more, it's warmer. And because of reasons like it is enclosed in a small region, more river water falls into Bay of Bengal, and all these reasons cause the surface water to be more warmer. When the water is more warmer, more evaporation happens. When more evaporation happens, low pressure regions, depressions are created on the surface. This builds up, or this may build up into a cyclone later on. This is the conventional geography detail we know already. But in recent times, we can see that the number of cyclones in Arabian Sea is increasing comparatively. But why? We can see that the surface temperature of Arabian Sea is increasing due to various reasons. There are various reasons. One such reason is that nowadays we can see the low pressure depression is created on land, and that shifts into the Arabian Sea. And what will happen at last? low pressure region is sitting on the Arabian Sea, it could become a cyclone, of course. And apart from this, there are various other reasons, like as usual, the same culprit, climate change. And one reason which we would not imagine much is waters from the Pacific Ocean, waters from the Antarctic Ocean, that is the Southern Ocean. From these regions, the waters that move in, they also cause new cyclones in the Arabian Sea. That is what this article talks about. Now we'll just get into the specific details in this article. Some of the important details here are, they say 200 lakh crore of buckets of water is created during the monsoon season, it seems. This is some important new data. Maybe you can use this somewhere. Okay, and they are talking about a term called Pacific Tunnel. They are talking about tunnels in the ocean. That is, water from the Pacific Ocean, it moves underneath it. Water is carried to the Arabian Sea, or to the actually to the Indian Ocean. Normally, how this happens is, water from the Pacific Tunnel, it brings warm water to the Indian Ocean. But at the same time, another tunnel, the Southern Ocean Tunnel, this brings cool water. This is the difference. But now what they are saying is, in recent times, due to climate change and the warming up of oceans across the earth, even from the Southern Ocean, warm water is brought in. This is happening very recently. This is a drastic change. Normally what happens? Cool water is brought from the Southern Ocean to the Indian Ocean. But now warm water is brought into the Indian Ocean from the Southern Ocean. This is something new. And another thing that has been affecting here is, the Pacific Ocean picks up heat. We know that. That is increasing because of global warming. And apart from that, the sinking of heavy waters in the Atlantic Ocean, that is also reducing. We know that the Gulf Stream, it moves from the equator to the polar region. There, due to the high density of water, the water will sink there. Okay, and then again it will travel underneath the ocean, and near the equator it will upwell. This whole circulation will happen. We call it as Atlantic meridional circulation, right? So this circulation, we know it was already affected because of warming of oceans and because of melting of waters from the Arctic region. This is also causing to the warming up of Arabian Sea. That is what they say here. Now, one more important fact here is, Arabian Sea becomes cooler due to the pre-monsoon season. Before the monsoon, Arabian Sea becomes cooler. That is one thing. But at the same time, in the Bay of Bengal, many depressions are created. So during monsoon, we know low pressures will be created on the land, and that low pressure will slowly move down during the end of the monsoon. Those low pressures will go and fall into the Bay of Bengal. That is one reason. Second reason, simply during summer, during monsoon season, due to a lot of heat, convection will happen, convective activity. Simply water will get evaporated from the Bay of Bengal, that water will move up. So when the air moves up, water converts into water vapor and moves up, that region becomes a low pressure. So like this, many low pressure centers are created over Bay of Bengal. These many low pressure centers, one or two of them, few of these low pressure centers might later become cyclones. That is why Bay of Bengal sees more cyclones. But when there is something called vertical shear. This word, it can be asked in prelims. A similar question was already asked in UPSC prelims, so note this down. What is vertical shear is the air moving from the ground towards the sky. The vertical wind that is moving because of evaporation, that's all. When this vertical shear is very powerful, there will be no cyclone. Why? What is a cyclone? We know cyclone is in the ocean, low pressure center will be there. And somewhere from the land, for example, here in our case, here we can see India will be here, and here is China and Russia, all these countries will be here. Here is Sri Lanka. From all these countries, land will be having high pressure because cyclones happens during winter. We know that during winter land will be cooler, but water will be comparatively warmer. So wind from all the high pressure centers will move to this low pressure center, and due to Coriolis effect, they will rotate. And this is what causes cyclone. But now think, when all these winds is coming from this land, here if there is a huge shear going on, this wind will block all these winds coming from the land. So high vertical shear or powerful vertical shear will break the cyclone. There is very little chances of formation of cyclone when there is shear, vertical shear. So try to know this important prelims point. So that is why normally cyclone season is unique. And it is only during pre-monsoon and post-monsoon. Now I hope you would have known why. During monsoon, there's lot of shear, vertical shear, so there is no chance of formation of cyclone. So during winter, pre-monsoon and after monsoon, there is chances of formation of cyclone. Now you can see in the case of Arabian Sea, there is less convective activity, and moreover, the northeast monsoon, it brings cool air and it cools the Arabian Sea. So here, no warming up of ocean. So no warmth, no convective action. So both is not there. So that is why naturally in Arabian Sea, there is no cyclone formation. This could be an important question for prelims, because these points are new apart from the what is seen in the book. Northeast monsoon winds cool down Arabian Sea. That is one thing. There is very little convective activity in the Arabian Sea. That is also a reason for very less number of less number of cyclones. But as we are seeing in this topic, ironically, nowadays we can see there are more cyclones in the Arabian Sea. One such cyclone is this Asna cyclone, ASNA, Asna cyclone. It came during this August. And this was created because of the reason that we told at the beginning. Low pressure is created in the land that moves to the ocean, and that causes the cyclone. Such an cyclone during August month in the Arabian Sea came only in 1981. After so many years, in 2024, again we have seen such a cyclone. This is another important point. And 60% of total rainfall during winter comes from only from the Bay of Bengal cyclones so far. But now that is slowly changing. And there are some of the things which are very unique and very, like they are saying that it is surprising nowadays, like how cyclones are forming in the Arabian Sea. And actually, we know that we are facing El Nino now. We expected lesser rains, but suddenly there are more rains in Arabian Sea. All these are, we cannot expect what is happening now. That it is completely arbitrary. இப்போலாம் எதிர்பார்க்காத மாதிரி விஷயங்கள் நிறைய வந்து கிளைமேட்ல நடந்துட்டு இருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு இந்த சில முக்கியமான விஷயங்களை வந்து சொல்லியிருக்கிறாங்க. The next article is about enemy properties in India, and this is in news because of a particular case, that is Mahmudabad and Musharraf's family land, which is actually a enemy property. Now we have to see what is enemy property in all these things here. Some people during the 1965 Pakistan war, 1962 war and 1971 war, in all these wars they left their properties here and went to Pakistan, and in the Indo-China war they also went to China. But what about these properties that they left here and went to those countries? Those properties will be deemed as enemy property if those people are deemed as enemies. So two things are needed here. One is, who is an enemy? Who is an enemy? That is actually said in the Defense of India Act 1962. That is any country that goes for aggression against India, or any country that supports any other that country which is in aggression with India. Simply, ஏதாவது கண்ட்ரி வந்து இந்தியா கூட வாருக்கு வந்துச்சுன்னு சொன்னால் அந்த கண்ட்ரி எனிமி ஆக்ட்னு சொல்லிட்டு டிஃபென்ஸ் ஆஃப் இந்தியா ஆக்ட் 1962 டிக்ளேர் பண்ணும். ஸோ அந்த நாடுகளுக்கு இங்கேருந்து போயிட்டு அவங்களோட ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி இந்தியாவில் இருந்துச்சுன்னா அதை எனிமி ப்ராப்பர்ட்டின்னு சொல்லிடுவாங்க. இந்த எனிமி ப்ராப்பர்ட்டிஸை வந்து ஹேண்டில் பண்ணுறதுக்காக தேர் இஸ் அன் ஆக்ட், தட் இஸ் எனிமி ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி ஆக்ட் 1968. ஸோ வை திஸ் ஆக்ட் கேம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ஆல்? Now, according to this act, first we'll see what this act says. According to this act, central government or state government, they can take acquisition of this property in the case of only in the need of defense of India, civil defense, public safety, maintenance of public order, or conduct of military. Only in such situations the government can take those property in its own control, not in other situations. This was the initial condition. Okay, now see here, unless the government legally acquires the property in return for compensation. அந்த ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி சம்மந்தப்பட்ட வாரிசுகளோ யாரோ இருந்து அவங்களே அந்த ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி விற்கிறேன்னு சொல்லி கவர்மெண்ட் காம்பன்சேஷன் கொடுத்து வாங்கினாலே ஒழிய மற்றபடி அந்த ப்ராப்பர்ட்டியை கண்ட்ரோல் எடுக்கணும்னு சொன்னால் ஒன்லி இந்த 4 or 5 கண்டிஷன்ஸில் மட்டும்தான் எடுக்க முடியும். பட் சம்திங் சேஞ்ச்டு லேட்டர் ஆன். There was a declaration called Tashkent Declaration in 1966. We all know about this declaration. It was something like a goodwill declaration between India and Pakistan, which actually happened in Uzbekistan capital Tashkent. That time Prime Minister Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri from India negotiated in this declaration. In this declaration, one of the important point is that they were also talking about this enemy properties. Like the government will hold it only in certain conditions, but other times they should give it to the air if that air is present in that particular country. அப்படியெல்லாம் பேசியிருந்தாங்க. But actually, Pakistan was not much interested in this. They did not take these points. They actually disposed these properties also later on. So, in response to this, what India did, they created an act called as 1968 Enemy Property Act. So, under this act, what they did, that is important here. Under this act, what they did was, they brought all this enemy property into Ministry of the Home Affairs. And all these properties were transferred to central government or state government. Now they can even sell that property. Central government or state government, they can sell the property. They can give it for rent. Anything can happen. This was done. But after in 1971, when the Pakistan properties in Pakistan, when they were directly disposed by the Pakistan government, India took one more step ahead. In that step, they made something called as 1971 rules. In this 1968 act, they made some extra 1971 rules. In these rules, they said, even if the heir of that person, he is living in India, of a person from India, he went to Pakistan leaving his property. Maybe his wife or children, they are living in India and they are Indian citizens. Even in that case, even if they are Indian citizens, the property will not go to them, but instead it will stay with the government. Moreover, in 2016, even an amendment was made to this act. We'll see that later. What was that amendment? Okay. So, even if that property, the owner of that property is dead, or that property goes to extinction, or that if it was a business, if that business is closed, enna nadandalo, it will be with the government. It will not go to the heir, or it will not go to the anyone who living in India, or anyone. No one will have the authority in that. But will this stop here? Definitely. Those people who are those heirs, those and the varisanga enna பண்ணுவாங்க, they'll go to court, and court gave some verdicts as well. What was that court? Raja of Mahmudabad in Uttar Pradesh, he actually in 1957 he left India, some of his properties also, and went to Pakistan. But what happened, his wife and son were Indian citizens. These people went to the court, and what did the court say? No, give the properties to the heir. They have the heir is here, varis irukilla, kuduthirunga soltaanga. But the problem because of this that created was, it opened the floodgates. Many people started to file such cases. இது என்னோட ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி தான், அது அவங்க ப்ராப்பர்ட்டியோ இல்லையோ, இது ஏன் ப்ராப்பர்ட்டியை விட்டுட்டு அவர் பாகிஸ்தான் போயிட்டாரு, சைனா போயிட்டாரு, எனக்கு கொடுன்னு சொல்லி it opened the floodgates. So what happened immediately during 2010, during UPA government, they made an ordinance. In that ordinance, they said, in related to this enemy property, the court will not have any say. Court இல்ல தலையிடவே கூடாது, இது எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ் சம்பந்தப்பட்ட விஷயம், நீங்க தலையிடாதீங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு ஆர்டினன்ஸ் போட்டு முடிச்சிட்டாங்க. One more thing also, they took back that same case, Raja of Mahmudabad case எடுத்து, all those properties were taken back from those heirs, and it was made government property also. And again in 2016, one more ordinance was made in 2016 in this Enemy Properties Act 1968. And when some people went to court, the court said, no, we will not interfere in this. Already ஏற்கனவே 2010 சொல்லிட்டாங்க, இந்த விஷயம் எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ் சம்பந்தப்பட்டது, நாங்கள் இதில் தலையிடவே மாட்டோம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டாங்க. And moreover, this was said by the judges B.V. Nagaratna and Ujjal Bhuyan. இவங்க என்ன சொல்லிட்டாங்கன்னு சொன்னா, இந்த ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி எனிமி ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி இருக்கிறதுல இருந்து முனிசிபல் கார்பரேஷன் டாக்ஸ் கலெக்ட் பண்ணலாம், ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி டாக்ஸ் கலெக்ட் பண்ணலாம், எல்லாமே பண்ணிக்கலாம், இது கம்ப்ளீட்டா வந்து கவர்மெண்ட் சொத்து தான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு டிக்ளேர் பண்ணி முடிச்சிட்டாங்க. ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் ஆல் அபவுட் திஸ் எனிமி ஆக்ட். ஸோ யூ ஹேவ் டு நோ தட் two acts, 1968 Enemy Property Act and 1962 Defense of India Act. Defense of India Act, India Act defines who is an enemy, and this 1968 Enemy Property Act says whose that property will belong to whom, whether they can sell it, rent it, all these details are there. And one important case is Raja of Mahmudabad case, so try to know these details. Next one article from Science and Tech. A new eye drop has been given in India called as PresVu. This eye drop, whether it is invented for the first time, actually it is being used in other countries, but for India this is the first time. Now what is the specialty of this eye drops? If you use this eye drops, you don't have to wear specs. So this does not mean that everyone who are wearing specs can remove their specs and use this eye drops, because this is not for this short sight or long sight or anything. This is only for a condition called presbyopia. Presbyopia, what does it mean? After the age of 40 or something, because of aging alone, some changes in the eyes, that is the weakening of the eye muscles, the nearby objects are not very clear. For that, this drops can be used. And that also, if you use this drop, it might stay for 6 hours. That's all. After that, you again have to use the drops. This is another important point. And what is the chemical used in this? Pilocarpine. So what does this pilocarpine do is, it will actually contract the iris muscles. Iris muscles are actually the muscles which control the light that are getting into the eyes. Other pupil's size is controlled. It will stretch and it will close. When this muscle becomes weaker, it doesn't function properly. But when these muscles are contracted and made harder, it will function properly. That is what this drop actually does. And one more thing, this particular drop has is advanced dynamic buffer technology. This is nothing but simply a base solution. It will control the pH of the tears in the eyes. Through that also, it makes the vision clear. And this is only a prescription only medicine, which means that you cannot get it over the counter. Only if doctor's prescription is there, you can get it. And some exceptions are also there. Those having inflammation, itching of eyes, redness of eyes, eyebrow pain, they should not use this drops. That is one more condition. And this pilocarpine, this is not the first time it is being used. Already it was used for cataract surgery and cataract therapy. Now it is used in the drops. And this drops, as I already told you, it was already used in other countries. Now in India, they are introducing it for the first time. Okay. Now that's it. We'll go to the next article. The next article is use of artificial intelligence in military, and how are various countries in the world looking into that, their approach, and what is India doing, the comparison. This is completely an international relations related article, which means it will be used for GS2. And apart from this, some technology details are also there, which are important for prelims. We'll see what happens here. Recently, there is a summit that is happening. And the summit is happening in Seoul, South Korea. And the summit is called RE-AIM, which means responsible use of artificial intelligence in the military domain. See, the first word itself says responsible use. We'll see later why this word is actually so important. There are certain details in this. Until recently, artificial intelligence was used in military only with the perspective of killer robots. And that has been already spoken about, debated in various other summits as well. But now they are talking about other things, not only killer robots, in things like intelligence, surveillance, battlefield reconnaissance. In all these things are also artificial intelligence is used. So we have to talk, we have to debate about it, and we have to form a proper protocol about it. That is what this RE-AIM says. And this is not the first such summit. Before that, in 2019 itself, there was a summit called LAWS, that is Lethal Autonomous Weapon Systems. But this system also was actually talking only about those killer robots. That's it. And apart from this, already the report is expected to be present in the United Nations General Assembly later this month. That is the report that has been created by this LAWS. But at the same time, now we are going for another new one. Now, before talking about that, let us see whether this artificial intelligence is used in military right now. There are two things called Lavender and Gospel. These are AI programs used by Israel Defense System. Prelims point, Lavender and Gospel, what are they? And apart from this, there are reports that Ukraine is also developing artificial intelligence drones. So already it is in use. Now we just have to know whether how to control it and what to do. That's it. Actually, how the world is seeing it, that is one important point here. The United States, actually first it was talking about reversing and abolishing artificial intelligence in military use. They said we should not use artificial intelligence in military. But now they have changed their view and stance. Now they say there should be responsible use. So they are saying that artificial intelligence can be used in military, just it should be responsible. All the countries should come in, they should form some summit or something, and they should use it responsibly. That's it. And this RE-AIM, we said right now happening in Seoul, there are three important points in this RE-AIM. Three objectives are there. One is to understand the implications of military AI technology, implement new norms on how to use it, and the third one is develop ideas on long-term global governance of AI in military domain. These are the three important objectives of this AI summit in Seoul. Now, other things happening around regarding this same issue. NATO has already given a strategy identifying 6 principles for the responsible use of artificial intelligence. And the very idea is to accelerate the use of artificial intelligence. என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னா artificial intelligence military அதிகமா யூஸ் பண்றாங்க, ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. They are not ready to go back. They are moving forward actually. And they are, US has already conducted a dialogue with China as well on how to use AI in the technology, in military technology. But now coming back, what is India doing? India is just waiting and watching. Let us see what the rest of the countries are doing, other countries in the world are doing, then we'll take step. We'll just watch. But this article says that is not a good approach. We also have to participate, we also have to step in, and we also have to participate in all these summits. We also have to gain the benefit of all this artificial intelligence and military technology. And this article's author also compares it with something else. Already during the earlier stages, when nuclear technology was spreading across the world, India was waiting and watching. We were at one back step, and because of that we had to suffer. While other countries were having nuclear technology, we were not able to have it. When we tried to have it, we were banned with sanctions. We were not given position in the NSG. Still we are struggling about it. So that is why they say this is not something that we have to do similar to the nuclear technology. Now when all countries are trying to have peace in that artificial intelligence and military technology, India also have to fight for it. Okay, that is what they say here also in this re-aim as well. Look here, it is not just Seoul that is doing. Korea, see the co-hosted countries, Kenya, Netherlands, Singapore, United Kingdom, all these countries are participating, and US and China are having a summit already there, and UNGA is already having a report for that. While all this is happening, it is not right for India to wait and watch. We also have to step in. That is what this article talks about. I will see the next article, an article in environment, both useful for prelims and GS3 mains. It says India makes the highest plastic pollution in the world. India first place la irukku idhula. And India produces 1/5 of the global plastic pollution. It is said in the article by Nature. And it is 9.3 metric ton of plastics. India is in first place, second place Nigeria, third place Indonesia, fourth place China. And this research was done by University of Leeds researchers. This can be used in mains. Many mains points are here. Try to note them down. And this research says that plastic waste is of two types: managed, unmanaged. Managed is those things which are collected, taken by the government, that thing. Unmanaged is simply thrown into the roads and roadsides, and it goes somewhere, gets into the water. That is unmanaged. In the managed also there are two types. How it is managed? One is it is sent to the landfill. Another one, it is properly recycled. And what they say is actually most it goes to landfill only. It is as similar to unmanaged plastic waste at last. It actually causes a lot of contamination. And unmanaged, we know it is just thrown out. And they say plastic waste is found even in Mount Everest and even in Mariana Trench. There is no place where plastic waste is not present. And recently, before some 1 or 2 months back, there were some articles which said that plastic is found in the human brain as microplastics. Plastic is found inside the rice that we eat, in every vegetable that we eat. So apart from subject as for UPSC, generally as well, even we have to know that we should try and reduce the use of plastics, particularly one-time use plastics. It is responsibility of everyone to stop and try reducing the use of plastics. That is what this article also talks about. And very important thing is, most of the plastic waste is coming from South Asian region and Sub-Saharan Africa region. But we know that most of the plastic is produced in the rich countries, in the Western countries. They use one-time use plastic. They just use it and throw it off. India is not like that. We are known for reusing, but yet they say most of the plastic waste is here. But what is the reason for that? Though production and usage of plastics is more in those rich countries, the way of recycling, the way of disposing is also better there. Here that is not happening. That is the point in this. And 20 nations, top 20 nations, not even one nation is in there in the high income countries. All these are Sub-Saharan regions and Asian countries. And in the global south, that is all these Asian countries, African countries, mostly it is burning the plastic. That is the way we are using to dispose the plastics, which is actually one of the worst way of disposing the plastics. And apart from this, United Nations Environmental Assembly, UNEA, they are trying to make the first legal by international treaty on this plastic waste. So far we don't have any binding treaty on this plastic waste. They started only in 2022, and yet we are waiting to make such a treaty. And where this plastic is made from, we know it is made from fossil fuels. It is one of the petroleum product. So these petrol producing countries, fossil fuel producing countries, they say, see, it is not our problem. It is the problem of the waste management. Producing plastic is not at all a problem. We can produce how many ever plastics we want, but it should be managed properly. So those countries which are not managing properly, blame them. Don't blame us. And don't try to stop the production of plastic. See, they are selfish in their own way. They don't want to reduce the plastic production because their business would be affected. Okay. And one important point here which you can use in mains is 1% increase in production results in 1% release in pollution. Okay. But these petroleum producing countries say that there's no problem in producing plastic. It is up to the countries to manage it. That is the important thing. But here we can see that statistics, data says if you increase 1% production, there's 1% increase in pollution also. Okay. So you try to use this in mains as well.